Absolutely necessary. But it's absolutely
Hey everybody, thanks for joining us on our live coverage here today. I'm Chief Meteorologist Leslie Hudson. We are giving you our weekly update here on what's going on, what you can expect this week in the weather world, and what you can look forward to, or maybe not look so forward to, as we roll through these next couple of days. I want to start things off with some weather. We've had a lot of thunderstorms across the country the last couple of days, and some of them have been pretty intense. So I'm going to show you the app real quick, and I've got the power outages turned on, and I'm actually going to zoom into the Great Lakes, because look at this. There are a fair amount of power outages here from late last night. So the orange shading there in those counties that indicates that there's more people affected. So there's about 6,000 people affected in Oneida County out of about 18,000 people that were being tracked. Just below that, we're looking at roughly 5,600 people out of 12,000 people tracked. So this was all thanks to those storms that brought some straight line winds in last night. Forest County, about 2,500 people, give or take. And again, a fair chunk of that's mainly in Minnesota and Wisconsin. I'm going to quickly just pan out and show you there's another round of weather that also could be producing a second day of severe weather in the Northeast. We saw that in Washington, D.C., Maryland, Virginia last night. I'll get more into that coming up in just a second, but we're going to focus back over into the Great Lakes, and that's where we find our very own Jayjack. He is just outside Minneapolis, Minnesota, and that is going to be a focus for today, but also tomorrow, Aaron.
Yeah, so as you said, I'm here in the Minneapolis area, and we do have a slight risk for severe weather here today. It's been issued by the Storm Prediction Center. Main threats, wind and hail here. I'm going to be targeting this afternoon into the evening just southeast of Minneapolis towards La Crosse, Wisconsin, somewhere in there in that corridor, the I-94 corridor. You can see it's back behind me here right now. And yeah, and then again tomorrow there's another risk, and it looks like an even more substantial risk. There's actually a chance for tornadoes tomorrow early on in the event, and then eventually that event's going to transition to more of a wind threat, and maybe all the way reaching all the way to the Chicago area. So it looks like I'll have a long day tomorrow, chasing through the evening all the way towards Minnesota or Minnesota, Wisconsin area, all the way to Chicago tomorrow.
You know, we were talking about just before our live stream talked, Aaron, that a lot of times it seems those Midwestern states seem more prone for those derecho type events. And I know that the way the setup is looking, synoptically and through the radar, it looks like that might actually be the case, that you might be dealing with, some long lasting thunderstorms that are producing some pretty damaging winds.
Yeah, that's right. And that's I'm going to kind of play it by ear tomorrow, watching the radar, the observations, and look for that early tornado threat. See if I can intercept the tornado early on. But later after that, I am expecting that maybe we could get a derecho, and I'm going to try and stay ahead of that. Get to like the Chicago area, see if I can intercept the derecho there once it gets more mature. The winds are stronger, and then as the night progresses, that storm should weaken on. But you never know with these derechos. Sometimes they can go from the Midwest all the way to the East Coast if conditions are right.
Yeah, we've seen that already this year. I wanted to ask you about the heat, Aaron, because you told us again before we started how hot it is. And, so much of the Great Lakes have been just under this huge beltway of heat. Pretty sticky up there, huh? Even up in the northern tier of the country.
Yeah, that's right. Even in the Central Plains to here in Minnesota, it's extreme heat right now. You got that ridge of high pressure. And I believe that's how these storms are kind of firing along that periphery of that ridge. You got cooler air coming down from Canada, from the northwest flow, and that's kind of fueling the energy for these storms to fire, the humidity from the crops, the evapotranspiration. So, there's lots of corn, lots of other crops in this area, and that they produce humidity through the day as the earth heats up, and those crops release that moisture into the atmosphere. That can help fuel these storms. And I'm sweating over here. It's very hot, very humid right now here. Typical Midwest summer right now.
Yeah, evapotranspiration, man. That's a good college word. I haven't heard that in a while. Way to go, Aaron. So I know you've got a busy day ahead of you, and of course tomorrow anticipating that risk. SPC already has it at an enhanced risk. Just real quick before we let you go, Aaron, where are you going to start off tomorrow?
So I'll probably stick around this Minneapolis area tonight, and then you look at the models in the morning, and it looks like it'll probably be, I'll have to move a little eastward into the Wisconsin area, maybe even a little bit north. It just depends on what the models look like, what the surface observations look like in the morning. And but it'll probably be in that Minneapolis to the east area from there. And then, like I said, I'll probably try to make it all the way to Chicago tomorrow night.
Sounds good. Well, we look forward to seeing your reports. We know you'll be safe, and look forward to seeing what you find out in the landscape there as you get going tomorrow. That's our Aaron Jayjack. Aaron, thanks so much for watching or joining us, and stay safe out there.
Yep. See you guys.
All right, sounds good, Aaron. Thanks. All right, well, guys, we're going to shift gears and actually go back over to the East Coast because there's been two systems. There's the one where Aaron is, where there's already a slight risk today. It's going to be an enhanced risk tomorrow. But on the east side, northeast side part of the country, there's also been severe weather. So I'm going to show you Syracuse University. This is the live weather camera from our partners with WeatherStem, and they too have been dealing with some stormy weather off and on. As I mentioned, this area also under a slight risk for severe weather. You can see some of those clouds building off in the distance, and looks like there could be some storms in their future. They're already dealing with some light to moderate rain, and some of that activity is going to definitely affect those New England coasts as we head into the next couple of hours. Our next vantage point a little further south, one of the target zones last night. This was in Maryland. This is in Frederick County. Again, as I mentioned, the DC proper area saw several severe warned storms. We saw some wall clouds, and we saw some pretty impressive shelf clouds coming out of those storms yesterday. Things right now relatively quiet and looking pretty good. So after a rough night in parts of Maryland and Virginia and the DC area, things are looking a-okay. We'll see how that all plays out. I think most of the storms are going to stay to their north as we head into today, but not the case here in Orlando. We're going to showcase two cameras for you today, our brand new cameras atop the MyRadar building here in downtown Orlando. So as we get our bearings here, you'll see that it has been a stormy afternoon in downtown Orlando. You can see it's been raining, our roof is wet, and that is, of course, pointing east. That's a favorite area, by the way, where we look for storms. Our East Coast sea breeze here in the Orlando proper is a popular spot for the sea breeze storms to come in. So we've got our cameras strategically placed that way in the event that we see some sea breeze storms developing. You can actually see way off there in the distance, there's been some breaks where it looks like there's been some clearing, but that's probably just some of the cloud tops that are breaking through some of that cloud deck. But our next vantage point is also atop our roof, and this is pointing south. And again, you can see the rain on the lens and the Amway Center off in the distance there. And of course, if you look to the right, you'll see our lovely Interstate 4, the I-4, which corridor, that's not the corridor, but that is I-4. But boy, it is a nightmare most days, and today no exception. Of course, people slowing down when the rain is around, and that's probably a good thing. So let's take a look at some viral videos, shall we? We're going to take a look first in DC. As I mentioned, there was some pretty heavy-duty rains through DC last night, and if you can hear the sound, I don't know if Matt has it turned up, but boy, it's sounded like a hurricane whirling through there. The storm winds were around 60 to 65 miles an hour. Several severe warned storms, as I mentioned, in the Washington, D.C. area. Also some power outages and some damage also in D.C. thanks to those storms last night. Our next video, well, this is out of Glenwood Canyon in Colorado, and this is from the Greater Eagle Fire Protection District. And that is debris flow, you guys. It is really impressive to see. Now, if you've been out or you live out in this area of the country, you know what this is. You see these. I'm from Florida, but of course have visited Colorado enough that I've actually seen these debris flows, but it's really a spectacular sight to see. And by the way, for these to be technically called debris flows, the actual water has to contain at least 50% of debris. So that's sand, soot, wood, some type of particles for it to be called a debris flow. And this is all thanks to the monsoon season and all of those heavy rains that are coming downslope off the mountains that are producing these debris flows. And we go from the rain to the drought. Our last video rather, is the Hazard Hill fire in the state of Washington. This was yesterday when the crews there were trying to put some fire retardant down in this area ahead of the fire line. The crews have been spraying this for several days. There's several thousand firefighters in the northwestern part of the country that are trying to get a handle on the wildfire season out there, which is just so incredible right now. And unfortunately, it's going to be a while before we see some real progress. But of course, the hats off to these folks that spend hours upon hours trying to get these fires under control. Looks beautiful there, but of course just so exceptionally dry. All right, back to the Northeast we head now. We're going to take a look at our computer, and we're taking a look at, again, a fairly large area that's under a severe thunderstorm watch. This area, again, at a slight risk for severe storms. And you can see that there's definitely some intense weather. So if you look closely there, some of those darker polygons are severe thunderstorm warnings that are ongoing. Fair amount of lightning, heavy rain as well. So this is moving through the state of Pennsylvania, New York, and moving off into the New England states as we head into these next couple hours. So we're going to be watching this for that potential for some straight line wind damage as well. And as I mentioned, there's those two separate pockets of weather. So we've got that notch that's over in the Northeast where there's huge metropolitan areas, large influx of communities here with large populations. And then we also have this other one that's where Aaron is, and that's in, of course, the Minneapolis area in Minnesota and Wisconsin, also under that slight risk as we head into today. But tomorrow, the SBC has already upped that area, as we've been talking about, to an enhanced risk. So the risk a little higher tomorrow for rotating storms. And that, again, that will be the potential setup, and even maybe some straight line winds, maybe a derecho event. It's a little bit too early to say, but that's kind of been the signature of those storms in that region of the country the last couple of days. Storm reports, well, we've got a couple hundred. You can see those that were dotting across the northern tier of the country. Besides that, we've also been having a lot of flooding weather, not just across the eastern part of the country where the rain totals were 3 to 5 inches in the Carolinas. Look at that just south of Greenville. That's a pretty decent beltway of intense weather, but also across those western states, parts of Nevada. I'll be showing in the fast forecast tomorrow some incredible water rescues that were going on yesterday when they got caught off guard with some heavy downpours. So monsoon season can be really complex. It can bring in storms, it can bring in flooding conditions, but also lightning. So a lot of weather that's been going on across the country. As we head into the remainder of tonight, you're going to see those storms pushing off the northeastern part of the country, and then again focusing back towards these midwestern and Great Lakes states to see where those storms could possibly fire as we get into tomorrow night. I think if we're going to get a derecho type event, that would be probably late tomorrow evening, I should say, and maybe into the overnight. So we'll see. And then of course that system will push east all the way over to parts of the northeastern part of the country as we head into Thursday. Quick look at the tropics. I wanted to let you know that we are watching this area of low pressure that had all the makings to try and become our next tropical depression. That was not the case, and I apologize, I'm mad I jumped the gun on that there. But you can see that there's some thunderstorms that have been firing across parts of Alabama and the state of Georgia this afternoon. That's the leftovers of this low. Just couldn't get its act together, but it's still something that we continue to monitor. Some of the longer range models kind of push it back off the Carolina coast in a couple of days. So we'll see what happens with that, if anything. In the meantime, I've been talking about this too. A lot of folks on Twitter have been talking about how quiet July was. That's not unusual. Typically, we only get about 8 storms, or 8% of our storms in the month of July, but then it almost more than triples by August. So as we roll towards August, about 27% of our storms come in that month, about 34% of our storms come in the month of September. So try to keep the pace, and remember, we're in a marathon and not a sprint. This is very typical for us this time of the year, where it gets much busier as we head into the next couple of months. So we'll see if that indeed happens. Quick look at the lower 48 here, and I'm going to take a look at some of the social media channels before we sign things off. But I just wanted to let you know that things across the southeast and across the eastern part of the country have been pretty quiet, other than these summer storms we've been dealing with off and on. And actually, I can't sign off yet because I got to do 2 more things. I got ahead of myself. Forgot. We got to talk about our store, right? So let me show you that real quick. If you guys are inclined to wear one of the MyRadar t-shirts and wear it proud, we would love to get one to you. The proceeds, at least part of those proceeds, will go towards Feeding America. So that's our code right there, summer10, for 10% off of your order. And you can go to store.myradar.com to go ahead and buy one of the t-shirts. We really would appreciate it. We've seen several of them. I've seen a few on vacation. I go to the Carolinas a lot, and I've seen a few in the Carolinas. And I've seen, I think I've even seen some in the Bahamas. So we would love for you guys to purchase one. And again, 10% of those proceeds, or a portion of those proceeds, I should say, will go towards Feeding America. And then before we scoot out of here, our very own Matt Hyland, he's a ninja with his cameras along with Damien McFarland. But this is from our very own Matt Hyland when he was in Grand Canyon last week. Check out this chipmunk. And he's just hanging out, having a good time, and he sees Matt, and he's like, yeah, I'm not so sure, buddy. He wants his nut, but he's like, nah, I'm out of here, see ya. So it was really cool to see. You'll be seeing a lot more of Matt's vacation in these coming weeks. He shot some really cool stuff. So look for that in our Feel Good Friday segments, as well as other cute, fuzzy little animals and fun videos that we can try and put a smile on your face before we scoot off into a weekend. All right, let me check this real quick. I see on YouTube that we've got our Sandy on deck. Of course, what would we do without Sandy Rose? She's with us every week. We so appreciate her. Braden is on. Hey there, Braden. Collecting Time is also on. And then let's see, who else do we got here? It seems like that's a couple of folks, and let me switch over to, we got Ronnie, apologize, we got him too, so thanks for watching. And a quick look over at Facebook, and we'll see who we got here. A couple of folks also join us. Lori Morales from Texas, thank you for joining. And looks like Damien is also on a Ninja currently on the internet. He's sharing that code for 10% off. So make sure you guys head to that website and buy one of our t-shirts. We'd be so happy, and we think you'll enjoy it too. It's super soft and comfortable. Okay, you guys, that'll do it for us today. Thanks so much for joining us. Again, a huge thanks to Matt Hyland and Damien McFarland in the back, keeping us all in the magic as we head through these live updates. We sure appreciate it. We'll keep you updated on that severe weather. We'll have some updates for you tomorrow, and we'll be going live if the weather warrants. For now, though, stay safe, everybody, and thank you for watching.